Alright, in this video I was going to talk a little bit about thinking from the end. Instead of thinking how we're going to get something done, thinking about like re-referencing that and thinking about what would I do if it was already done. Like have the picture of it in your head of what would it look like if it was already done instead of how am I going to get it done. So I've always heard people say think from the end, don't worry about the hows, the cursed hows, but like focus on the picture that you want at the end. So visualize what it is that you want to manifest. And then once you see that picture, then your brain will actually help figure it out. But if you don't have that, if you never get started and you don't have that picture in your head, then the brain doesn't have anything to go on to make it happen. So like today, I was gonna try to set up a new light to use this whiteboard, but there's too much glare on it too because the light that's up here puts a big area in here to where it glares so you can't really see what I'm trying to do. So I thought maybe if I put something up above and had it come down, then it wouldn't shine into this area because it'd be coming down over it. Well, it was too bright and it shined everywhere, so it didn't really work that way either. So now I'm sitting here wondering, what am I going to do? So, and I was just watching a video by, I don't even remember the guy's name, but he was talking about how it's already done. It was Jake Ducey, I think his name was. He's talking about how whatever you're trying to manifest already exists. You just have to operate on that frequency to create it. So you have to become that person. It's already there, just waiting for you to get to it. But he was talking about thinking more in terms of that. So that's where I got the idea of thinking about it as being already done. Because when you keep picturing in your head, and you picture in your head, then it gives your brain something to think, okay, well, if this was already done, I want to have a way to where I can use this whiteboard so that I can teach some other stuff so I can draw on it and put, just so I can, because these videos are good for me to get used to doing all this, and I'm kind of just freewheeling as I come into this and I come up with an idea and just go with it. But I do want to start doing some more where I'm actually teaching some of the stuff that I know. So that is coming, but it's just me in the beginning. I'm trying to get more comfortable on camera, get more comfortable being myself. So then that way, at least when it is time to start teaching something, I'm a little bit more relaxed in the moment. I can go a little bit longer, but in the beginning, I'm just trying to get myself going and practice because, like Tony Robbins and Jim Rohn says, repetition is the mother of mastery. So you have to keep doing it over and over and over again. It's like fundamentals, you throw the football over and over and over and over again, and you use good footwork, and you aim the straight way and throw. But then after you get solid fundamentals, then when then you can start slipping outside the pocket and throwing on the run or throwing off one foot or, just kind of improvising. So I figure that's where I want to get to, is that I want to keep going. I want to keep focusing. I want to keep getting better. Then that way, when I do get into these moments, then I can improvise a little bit better. But obviously, you got to start somewhere. It doesn't always end up the way you want it to. It's a process when you're going through it. It's not always perfect, but you have to start somewhere to get somewhere. So, and that's kind of like where I get sometimes, because like the last week and a half I've been a little bit more frustrated than I was when I first started doing these things. So I was kind of getting down on it, thinking, should I keep doing it? And I was like, wait a second, I had to get over all that. So that just so you know, that stuff doesn't go away. You just get better at handling it and remembering. So I kind of wrote down here, remember, just because we had a bad day, week, month, year, doesn't mean we can't get better. Sometimes we just need to let go and start again. If we are eating good, then we have a bad day or a bad week. That's okay. We just got to get back to it. So there's always that ebb and flow when you're trying to change or you're trying to be successful. It's not always going to be, unicorns and rainbows. You got to kind of go through the bad sometimes to get to the good. And then sometimes you got to go through the rough week to kind of learn something from it. And then just keep pushing through those dark times, keep pushing. Like I remember I used to try to, like, I weigh about I don't know, 215 now. When I got back from college years ago, I weighed 250, and I was big, and I knew. And slowly but surely, I started eating a little bit better. But then I would eat good for maybe a month, and then all of a sudden I would fall off the wagon. And next thing you know, 2 months later, I'm still eating, not losing weight like I wanted to. And then I'd have to be like, oh God, I got to get back to eating better. And then I'd eat better for a few more weeks, and then the same thing. So I'd kind of go back and forth between eating good and not eating good. So when I started to realize that sometimes, hey, just because you fall off for a day or two, or, eat a little bad here or there, doesn't mean you need to let it snowball into going back off it. So then I looked at it as trying to, like, the window of eating good versus not eating good, trying to get that window of going back to it. Like how, like, I fell off the wagon, like I relapsed almost, but not with, alcohol or drugs, but with food. So it kind of gave me that thing of, okay, let's shorten that window before we get back on the horse. So I kind of like that because, like I've had friends that have ate perfect for 6 months, lost 40, 50 pounds, and then they have one cheat day, and next thing you know, they gain all the way back. And see, I feel like that's with gradual change and realizing that, yeah, sometimes you just gotta, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to develop that habit to create that change. And when you're trying so hard, sometimes when you finally let go, then it just snaps. Where, like, I find, and I feel like if you do it slowly, progressively, then that habit will actually change for the longer period of time instead of just saying, all right, tomorrow I'm going to start eating perfect, and then all of a sudden you have one day of imperfect, and you end up, gaining everything back and all the, trying and hard work you did to eat better. So, like, I started just going with, one bad meal a day, and then eating two good meals. So then that way it kind of gradually got used to it. And then eventually, then all of a sudden, I got so used to that it created a habit of two good meals a day, one bad meal. And then all of a sudden, maybe I eat three good meals for 2 times a week, and it just get progressively better and better and better. So now I kind of just hover at 215. Like, I might gain 2 or 3 pounds here, or lose a little bit more, but it's usually in that little spectrum, and I haven't burst all the way back to 250 where I was years ago. So I think if we just realize that, we're not perfect, we're going to have some bad weeks, we're going to have some bad days, we might even have some bad years, man. I've been there. I've been through times in my life where I kind of lost touch with myself for a few years here or there and went through some rough times, which one day I might talk about. But as of right now, it just shows you that, just because you get knocked down, you might stay on the mat for the 9 count, but you got to get back up, and you got to keep trying no matter what happens. Because the only way you truly fail is if you don't get back up and lay on the mat, and then you're out. Because, like I said before, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of it. So we have to fail. We have to have bad days. We have to have this not work so I can kind of figure out how to get it to work. So that's going to be my next thing, is trying to figure out how to get this to work. But in the meantime, I just kind of wanted to explain what I was going through with this scenario, to maybe show other people that, just because you get knocked down doesn't mean that you have to stay down. So.